Hello everybody and welcome to the Rodeo Roundup. This is a special project created for Country Craft Creations, and we are going to make a slider card that's going to end up looking like a barn. But this is the concept of it, where we have an opening sentiment, we have a 3x4 card on the front that we're going to use, and then we reveal another sentiment underneath. In addition to that, this will flip up. So we'll have an inside portion. You can put a picture or another sentiment if you like, and then we're going to have a piece on the top that looks like a barn. We are also going to make this the base from one 12x12 sheet of paper. So I am using the Cowgirl collection. This is from Cartabella, and this is the brown and pink out of the coordinating colors. And so we're going to start with this, and I'm going to grab my cutter. Okay, I'm going to tell you all the measurements, so make sure you have a pen or pencil nearby so you can write them down. And I'm just going to start with cutting off the branding strip. Okay, so just cut that off, put that to the side. Then we're going to start with cutting our 12x12 paper down to 6 1/4 inches wide. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. 6 1/4 inches wide. Okay, now that 6 1/4 inch piece is the one we're going to work with, so I'm going to put this other one to the side for a moment, and then we're going to go ahead and cut this to 9 inches in length. So it's going to end up being 6 1/4 by 9 inches. All right, so this piece I'm going to go ahead and lay off to the side, and I'm going to start creating my stack. Okay, now this piece that we just cut off from that, we're going to go ahead and cut this down so that it ends up measuring 6 1/4 inches wide by 2 1/4 inches tall. So let me go ahead and cut that down to 2 1/4 inches tall. Okay. So this we're going to put off to the stack as well, on top of that stack, okay? And this little piece we will just hold on to for a little while, okay? Next, we're going to go back to that first section that we cut off, and we're going to start cutting this one up. So the first thing I want you to do is cut off a 1/2 inch and then another 1/2 inch strip, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. I'm actually going to place this in my cutter this way. So I'm going to cut off a 1/2 inch and then another 1/2 inch. Okay, now I want to go ahead and cut these two down to 5 inches in length. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the first one. So it ends up being 5 inches by a 1/2 inch. I'm going to put that in my stack. And then I'm going to do the same exact thing with the second one. 5 inches by 1/2 inch. I'm going to put this in my stack. And these are just two little pieces. Okay, next we're coming back to this piece again, and we're going to go ahead and cut down our next section, which should end up measuring 4 inches by 3 1/2 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut off 3 1/2 inches from this, from the top. So I'm going to turn it in my cutter, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this down to 3 1/2 inches. All right. So what you have right now should measure 5 3/4 by 3 1/2. We're going to cut that 5 3/4 inches down to 4. Okay, so you're going to put this on our stack. All right, put this off to the side, come back to the larger piece. Next, we're going to go ahead and cut this down so that we have a piece that measures 6 1/4 by 3 3/4 inches. Okay, so we need to take the length out of this one, 6 1/4 by 3 3/4 inches. Now we have 5 3/4, so basically I'm going to cut off 2 inches. So let me cut off 2, or you can cut off 3 3/4. Let's do that. 3 3/4 inches. Okay. So now I have 3 3/4 inches, and I want to cut this down to 6 1/4. Okay, just like that. Now we're going to place this in our stack. Come back to this long piece right here. It should measure 2 inches wide, And now we're going to go ahead and cut this down to 4 inches. 4 inches. All right, now put this in our stack, 2 by 4. All right, you should be left with just these little pieces here that we can use for another project. But that's it, okay? That's what we cut off of our 12 by 12. So now I'm going to just set those off to the side so they don't get mixed up. And we're going to pull out our scoreboard, and we're going to start with our scoreboard. Okay. So I'm going to start with, my large one. The first piece, which should be on the bottom of your stack, okay? This measures 6 1/4 inches by 9 inches. So on the 9-inch side, we're going to go ahead and score this at 1/2 inch and 4 3/4 inches. So again, 1/2 inch, 4 3/4 inches, okay? What this is going to do when you fold it, and you can choose which way you want to fold it because of the color, right? I'm going to fold it this way because I want my barn to have brown on the outside. So that means my little 1/2 inch strip will be tucked in. If you want pink on the outside of your barn, meaning this outer edge here, then you're going to want to fold it the other way, like so. Okay? So up to you. You have to choose which way you're going to be doing it. So again, I'm going to be going with brown on the outside of my barn. So I'm just giving it a little burnish. Okay. Now with that piece, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I'm going to turn it and place it onto my scoreboard with that 1/2 inch score line all the way to the right hand side. And what I'm going to do is lightly score at 3/4 inch all the way down. Okay. And then at 3 1/2 inches all the way down. Then I'm going to rotate this. I'm just pressing really lightly, and again I'm going to go ahead and score at 3/4, and we're going to do at 5 1/2. 5 1/2. Okay, what you should be left with is this little smaller rectangle in the middle. So I'm going to do that a little bit harder so you can see it. Basically, you're creating a frame that has a 3/4 inch border all the way around. Okay. So that's what you should end up with. Okay. Now let's go ahead and set this to the side for right now, and we're going to keep moving. Next, you need to find what piece of cardstock that you have that measures 6 1/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. Okay, 6 1/4 by 3 3/4 inches. All right, with the 6 1/4 inches at the top, we're going to go ahead and put a little notch at 1 1/4 inches, and we're going to come down to 3/4 inch. Okay, we're going to then put a little notch at 3 1/8 inches, right at the top only, and then we're going to go over to the 5-inch mark, and we're going to come down 3/4 inch. Now, how I like to use it as a guide, since I can't really tell from the side here on my scoreboard, I'm going to go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees, and then I'm going to go ahead and just lightly score at 3/4 inch. This is the section that you see that? So I came down 3/4 inch and put this little score line across. I have a little notch at 3 1/8. I have one at 1 1/4, and I have one at 5 inches. Okay. Now again, I'm going to be using the brown side because that is going to be the outside of my barn. And I'm going to take my ruler, so you can see this. I'm going to place my ruler at the 3 1/8 inch mark, right here at, let me go ahead and place a dot so you can see it. Right here, right here, right here, and oh, I forgot one more thing. Well, let's turn sideways. Here we want to go ahead and also give a light scoring at 3 inches. No, not right. Hold please. Yeah, 2.5. Sorry, not 3 inches, 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to move this off to the side again. Sorry about that. Let me place my dots. Here on one side, here on the other side. Okay. And here. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect the dots. Like that. Just like that. This is going to be the top of our barn. One more. Just like that. So can you see the shape of the barn? Now, let's go ahead and what we're going to do is cut this off. So I'm going to use my scissors, simply cutting that. Follow the lines. Easy peasy. Okay, that's the top of my barn. Next, I'm going to go ahead and grab the base piece that I scored, and I want to use my straight edge, and I'm only going to cut the 2 sides that are the long sides, okay, of this inner rectangle. So I'm going to use my little straight edge here. I already have my guide marks. You can use your cutter if you can place it in your cutter. This is fast for me. So you should end up with those 2 slits, just like that. Only on the long side, please. Okay. It's going to end up going like this, and this is going to end up going like this. Before we connect this, I want you to look for the piece that we cut that measures 6 1/4 inches by 2 1/4 inches. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and place this beneath. So you should end up with that 1/4 inch top to bottom, that 1/4 inch separation right there. Okay. I'm just going to have a little tiny 1/4 inch gap there and there. And what we're going to do is go ahead and trace that again. Okay, the other way you can do it is set it on your table so that both the sides are even, and then pull them apart so that you actually have this point over on the side. Then you end up with the gap there and there. Hold on to it tightly, set it down on your mat maybe, and you can use that to help you also. So I'm going to go ahead and trace like so. Okay, I should end up with this. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut. Okay, and that is going to end up being my top piece of my barn. Let's go ahead and get some foam tape. So I'm going to get some little pieces of foam tape. Do you all use your extra foam tape pieces like this? Yes, I don't waste it. Let's do something like that. that and like that. Okay. Now this is going to get placed right on top. Let's go ahead and remove the backing. I'm going to place this right on top. Trying to get my head in the way. But now we have a little bit of height there, and we have a little tiny gap at the bottom. Okay, and this is going to end up getting placed right here, just like so. Okay, so we don't forget, let's go ahead and use our score tape, or you can use your glue, either way. But I'm going to go ahead and place this here. Just like that, so that I don't forget. Okay. I'm also going to have you move on to the next piece. Let me move this out of the way. All right. Let's come back to the pieces that we cut. All right. The next one I'm going to do, before we move forward with this, I'm going to use my little 1 inch circle punch, okay? And I'm going to, with this 1/2 inch at the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and align both thicknesses here and go ahead and notch out a portion of the circle. I'm just eyeballing the same distance, top and bottom, either side of my punch, and it's not in there halfway. I don't want to take a huge notch out. I just want to take a little notch out, and I'll punch just like that. Okay, this is how we're going to be able to pull the slider, just like so. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is open this up. Okay, and we're going to place our 2 inch piece, this is 2 inches wide, into our card, like so. Okay, I'm going to place it backwards so you can kind of see it for a minute, but this is how it's going to go, just like that. Okay. Just like that. When you see it closed, it's going to go all the way over. All right. Now, so this piece, just so you know which side it's on, it's all the way away from, it's furthest away from the notch that you just placed, okay? And all we did was weave it in and out of the slits, okay? So we have this showing and this showing, okay? Now, let's go ahead and place this. Yeah. All right, what do I want to do here? Just a second. Okay, I wanted to go over something real quick just so you would know what color. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this piece that measures 3.5 inches by 4 inches, and we're going to place this down on top of this little belly band, and we're just going to align the edges of the 2 inch wide piece, butt it right next to it. It should be even with the outside of your card on the side that the notch was. If that's hanging out, that's okay, because you're just going to have more space to pull it. If it bothers you, then you need to cut these slits just a little bit more. So I'll show you just a little bit more. So that this piece can slide over just that hair further, so that now you're even with the outside of your card. Now I am placing this brown side down so that you're still seeing this pink side, because when I close my card, this is going to be the piece that I pull out. If you want brown to show on the piece that you pull out, this is the way that you would put it down. If you want the pink to show, then you need to put it this way. It's up to you. I think I'm going to place it so that the pink shows instead. No, I'm going to put it this way because I want my barn door to be brown. I'm sorry. So lay it like this. You have one tucked under, that's the 2-inch piece tucked under. You have the wider piece butted right next to it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take those 1/2-inch strips. Those 1/2-inch strips, okay, we're going to have one here and one here. We need to go ahead and put our double-sided tape on, or you can, doesn't matter which side. I'm just going to do it on this one so that you can see it better. Okay. Just like that. And take the backing off. Okay, now make sure, this is a key, make sure that you are butted up next to your 2 pieces, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and place this piece down here across both of them. Well, it would help if I don't place it crooked, Nicole. Oof. Look how I just rip it like a monster. No, that's the wrong term. I'm a country girl. I just rip it apart. Okay. You need to stay on your pieces. Don't get all crooked like me. Okay, and now we need to do the same exact thing down here. You need to span across both those pieces. Okay, then this little flap is going to get tucked underneath this. So while we're closing it like here, we're going to go ahead and tuck this underneath. This is your dry run. Don't put any glue yet. But now you're going to have a piece like so. Just hold it here because we haven't glued there yet. And this is how the mechanism works. Okay, that's your barn door opening and closing, just like so. All right. Now the other thing I'll say, if you're going to put a sentiment inside here, then you might want to go ahead and cut you an additional piece of cardstock and go ahead and place it inside there. I am not going to do that right now. So this is my mechanism. Then I'm going to go ahead and place my glue here or my double-sided tape. I'll go ahead and do that. I'll place it on this side with this 1/2-inch strip folded inward. Just like that. Remove the double-sided tape backing and remember to tuck it underneath here. Okay, underneath, just like that. Okay, now you have this piece that's going to go freely back and forth. All right, last thing is we have this open end. You can either put a piece of double-sided tape or you can put a little bit of glue, either way. I'm just going to place it just inside the edge, just like that. Take the backing off and close it up. Now we have our card that's just like this. Okay. Help if I don't make it a little crooked, which of course I did. Right here I made it a little bit crooked. Yeah, well, it's paper crafting and we have to be okay with imperfection. All right, next thing, we're going to go ahead and place this down just like this. So let's go ahead and remove the backing of our double-sided tape there. And I'm going to go ahead and hopefully have this straight. So I have to see. Can't see with the camera, so I'm trying not to put my big head in the way. All right, just like that. And you have your little barn. And the last thing we need to do is pick our 3x4 card that we want to use. So I think I will use this one right here from the Cowgirl collection. So let me go ahead and cut that down. Alright, now I'm going to place mine just like so. It's going to be hard to see. Let me turn it over for a second so you can see the border around. Okay, I'll place it up here. You can do the border around it. That's how I'm going to end up placing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place a little bit of double-sided tape here, just like that. Okay, let me cut off this little white edge, because otherwise that's going to bother me. All right. Now again with the border all the way around, place that down there. And you can see the way that this is going to function here. Okay. Last thing is our pieces of white cardstock. So, and the card if you want to make the extra card on the back. So for the piece that's inside, if you want a sentiment inside, now if you want your barn looking like this, then you don't need to put it inside, and maybe just put it on this portion if you want the sentiment revealed. So I will share with you both. So inside of the slider, we need something to be cut down to 2 3/4 inches. Sure. Yes, 2 3/4 inches. So I'm getting a scrap piece of white cardstock, and this is very long, but let me just show you. If you only want this small section to show, let's pretend this was the end, then it will just cover that up and you won't see any of the white. If you want white to show all the way through, then you would tuck this underneath, and I'll show you here. Confirm it. Measurement, yeah. If you want white to show all the way underneath, we would tuck it underneath the slider portion. Okay, just like that, and you would see the white over here. You pull it across, and you would see the white over here. Okay, but because I just have it stuffed in there, it's not going to move very smoothly yet. But this is how it would function. So if you only want the white over here, then let's go ahead and tell you what you want to cut it down to. Boy, the dry. Okay, I'm making it difficult on myself here. Okay, so if it's the whole thing, it's going to be 4 3/4 inches wide. If you only want the one section, it's going to be 2 1/2 inches. So I only want the one side. I'm going to do 2 1/2 inches, and this is going to get tucked on this side. But I want to stamp my sentiment before I place this down. So I'm going to go ahead and grab, let's see, let me see if there's any stickers I want to use. All right, I grabbed this sticker from the Cowgirl collection that I'm using. Okay, and again, this measures 2 1/2 by 2 3/4 inches. I'm going to go ahead and place some tape on the back side of this. Oopsie. Take off the backing. Tuck that in here. And make sure that you don't hang off over or beyond your 3/4 inch score line, okay? You want this to tuck up underneath because you don't want it to get in the way of the slider, okay? Oh no, I told you too wide. Well, let's not do that, Nicole. Let me mangle mine so you don't have to mangle yours. Why did I make it 2 1/2? I'm going to make it 2 1/4. So I'm just going to take 1/8 of an inch off those sides. Yeah, 2 1/4. Because I don't want it to show. So 2 1/4 inches. And don't mingle yours like mine. Okay. All right, there we go. Just like that. And now the last thing is that I was doing was, if you want an additional sentiment inside of the card, where did I place my card? My original. Oh my goodness. How did I get my desk such a mess? Okay. Like this, then we need a base. The base would be 6 1/4 inches wide by 8 1/2 inches. So let me go ahead and grab that, and then you need one piece on the inside that measures 6 by 4. Let me grab that. All right, now we're ready. We have this piece that measures 6 1/4 inches by 8 1/2 inches. I'm going to go ahead and fold this right in half and give it a quick burnish, just like that. I'm going to open it up like so. I have my 6 inch by 4 inch piece of white cardstock here, and I encourage you, before you put it down, to put your sentiment on it, or you can use your sticker or your stamps, either way. I'm going to go ahead and use another sticker from this collection that just says, "Hold your horses." It's like that. All right. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and place some double-sided tape all around this. I want it to stick really well. Take that double-sided backing off. Place this. This is the bottom side. Make sure I have the bottom side the right way. And now the back looks like that. We have the ability to open it up. Of course, you have the top, so you're not going to lay it on the table, but isn't that cool interactive card? And then it opens just like that. And that is our barn card slider. I hope that you have enjoyed this. You're having fun with the other crafty ladies that are involved with this Rodeo Roundup. And I look forward to receiving some of those papers that are coming out by Country Craft Creations. Make sure you also take advantage of using your paper collections that you also have. But if you already picked up the Cowgirl or the Cowboy collection, that is Cartabella, this is really fun to work with too. So until next time, everyone, happy scrapping you all. Goodbye.